Hello everyone, welcome back to these videos. Today I am thinking of doing something Harry Potter themed. Here I'm just showing you some reference images that contain some, Harry Potter artifacts. So here I'm just brainstorming, like maybe I want to use the stone, the rock, or the golden snitch, and eventually I do end up choosing the golden snitch. But yeah, I was also like thinking of doing either the glasses or the scarf. I'm an adult, but growing up I didn't watch Harry Potter, and seeing it now as an adult, I'm like, oh man, I kind of wish that I had seen it when I was younger, just because I would understand all the, reference and jokes. But now that I'm watching it now, it's kind of cool. I'm like, oh, now I understand that reference, or, that joke for that. Yeah, so here I'm starting out, here I'm like figuring out what colors I'm gonna use. So I'm selecting some oranges, some yellows, some reds, and then I'm thinking about purples or orange and a little bit of blue here and there. So I like those two color palettes, and I'm gonna screenshot them, put them into Procreate, and take out the colors that I didn't really need. So here you can see the colors that I've selected, deleting the other ones that I don't need, and really just organizing my canvas to make it, the most optimal. Here I'm just figuring out like what I'm trying to do. I had already created like a rough pass of the golden snitch, and here I'm just going to add in the colors. I end up scrapping this one and recreating that circle. But yeah, it's really great to have your reference illustration at the top, and I usually change it to like a different mode. Usually it's just a normal mode, but I change it to either screen or multiply, just so that I can put it at the top and still be able to see it when I'm coloring on the layers beneath it. So here I'm deciding on putting in the line work, and I want these to be a little bit coming out of the ball, like almost like an extraction. So that's what I'm adding in now, and as you can see, I did incorporate Harry Potter's scar. I put it in the center of the snitch. I know that's not like the original way that the snitch is, but I wanted to make mine different, and I thought that the Harry Potter scar worked for that centerpiece. Sorry about my hair here. Sometimes when I get really into it, I just lean in and I forget that my head's in the camera. So yeah, there's definitely parts for this video that I had to cut off because my head is just covering the frame. But yeah, here I'm just adding a bit of shadow. Can barely tell here, but I do want it to just be subtle, very minor. And the color itself is just a little bit darker than the original color that I had initially put on there. Now I'm thinking of adding in the highlights. So that's what I'm doing right now. I think on camera these colors don't come out that great, mainly because they're all very similar to each other. They're all in the same spectrum of orange and yellows. So when I make subtle changes like, the little highlights or the shadows, it's not as prominent on screen as I'd like them to be. But when I export the image, you'll see a lot more detail come through. At this point, I'm also thinking that I want to give the ball a bit of perspective, like a bit of like it's not just like a flat circle, you know, it's like rounded, it has a shadow, it has a highlight in the front. So that's what I'm doing now. And I'm going to go in and use that, I don't know what tool that is, the smudging tool maybe. And I'm just smudging it just to blend things through. I think this part in particular got me really excited, just because it really started to come together and look like, you know, a three-dimensional ball. So then I'm just gonna add in a bunch of oranges and just details here. I have a few fun facts that I looked into, so I'm going to read some of them to you. J.K. Rowling, which is the author of the Harry Potter series, shares a birthday with Harry Potter, which is July 31st. I know this one is kind of strange, or kind of maybe gross, but I don't know, like, if it's clean, then it's fine. So J.K. Rowling invented the names of the Hogwarts houses on the back of a barf bag. And I'm just assuming that the bag is clean. So I think it's fine. So I've only seen the first 4 movies of the Harry Potter series, and I do plan to watch the rest. I think so far, my favorite thing about them is just that, like, the author puts so much personality is the word, puts so much personality onto her characters, and it really makes them seem like unique characters, you know. And there is a few characters, like the teacher that was supposed to be like that popular teacher, and then there was a teacher after him that had that glass eye. It's just, you know, like stuff like that. Oh, and there was that journalist lady that had a lot of personality. These characters, it's like you don't really see them every day, you know. So it's cool that she included all of these types of characters to push the story forward, and a lot of the times it worked very well, especially because they all played, you know, pretty prominent roles within each storyline to progress it. I think it's also cool that you watch the characters grow up, you know. I think if I had seen the movies when I was younger, I would have maybe felt more connected to them as they're growing up and as I'm also growing up, you know. But yeah, I appreciate that now that I'm an adult. I think a part of me wants to get more into the lives of the secondary characters like Ron and Hermione, you know, just to see what their life is like, because we know a lot about what Harry Potter's life is like. You know, his home and his aunt and uncle and his not nephew, but I guess cousin. But it would be cool to see, you know, how Hermione and Ron live. We kind of know how Ron lives, but yeah, I think that'd be cool. And also random characters that are a little bit annoying, like Malfoy and Snape. I think if we kind of knew a little bit more about their life, you know, I feel like I would care a little bit more about them. But I know that they're meant to not necessarily be liked. And I like that the author puts Snape in a lot of situations where you think he's the villain, but in reality he's actually just trying to help. I think that's awesome. So here I'm just adding a bit of shadow and blending it in. And I want to make sure that that circle ring that's on top of that wing is differentiated, just because a lot of the times I felt like that ring got lost a bit. Here I'm adding in the shadows, and I do want to add some just magical little features here and there. And a part of me feels like, oh, maybe they should be smaller, so I do end up exploring that option to make them smaller, but eventually I revert back to this look of just having them this size. This view isn't that great just because you can't really see the details of the snitch, the golden snitch. Here I'm just adding up a lot more contrast. And oh, here I was trying to add in like a blur on that shadow. Oh yeah, here I'm trying to figure out like, oh, maybe smaller, but I don't know, now that didn't look so great. And I did want to make the background just a little bit more, I wouldn't say complex, but more magical for the lack of words. But that's why I added in those different colors, those blues and different shades of purple. Here I'm just finessing that little, and there you have it. I wish you could see all the details of the illustration while I'm drawing it, so I'll try to zoom in a lot more next time, but here it is. I had a lot of fun with this. I feel like the wings are still a bit like flat compared to the circle parts of the golden snitch, but yeah, aside from that, I think it turned out okay. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. It can totally be another Harry Potter theme or something completely different. Okay guys, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.